What's up, YouTube? What's going on out there? It's been a while since I posted a video. Since last year. Been a little minute. So I guess it's 2026. We're 3 months in to 2026. There's really not much to say, I put out a lot of information, in my previous videos. Pretty much the same MO, same information. Like I said, pretty much the same. Still, meditating, still studying here and there. Just some breakthroughs here and there mostly. Other than that, just been undercoverly human, just trying to duck and dodge all of the ignorant, evil ways that, a lot of the humans try to bring to your doorstep. You gotta, whatever magic you work it, fortify your magic. Because at the end of the day, it's all about creative physics. So whatever ritualistic practice that you are doing, especially if it's creative and it's an alternative form of spirituality, it'll work. Okay? It'll work. Other than that, like I said, it's not really much to talk about too much other than, the same old hermeticism and Gnostic thought on what's going on with the human condition and all of the psychological human idiosyncrasies that we are subjugated to, men in these physical bodies. So, we got AI now. So, there's a lot of videos being circulated that we don't know if it's real or fake. Okay? We don't know if it's real or fake. Everybody just seems to want to focus on whatever the Matrix creates, whatever little the Matrix creates. Seems like humanity just wants to focus on that. So, again, there's only very, 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 very few, a handful of people that is really into this occult, esoteric information. And like I said, it's, if you are in this information, then you do know that it's okay to take breaks from it. It's okay to take a break, take a breather. And that's why I don't post videos all the time, because for one, no one, nobody's paying me for this, so I don't have anybody controlling my content or my narrative. That's another reason why, I try not to accept payments or donations, because when you do things like that, humans, they have a tend to try to control your content. I just think that my information that I produce, it's not for a community. It's not for a group community-like setting. And I'm not saying that because I think it's so advanced. No, I'm saying that because I know that the information that I'm into it makes me a minority of the minority. So I don't expect a group community type of affair where I'm getting paid, because then it'll end up stunting the growth of the information, and people tend to want to control content based off how they feel and what they want to believe in. I'm not here to appease anybody's beliefs, or I'm not trying to perpetuate my beliefs. As I said before in my videos, I'm just sharing information, and because I have been experimenting with these deities and these, in the spirituality, as far as libations and doing, ritualistic practices with some of these deities. And I must say, like I said before, things work. Things work. It might not be in the form of money, cash money. It might not be in the form of just getting jobs or whatever, but it can be in other ways that the rituals that you are doing is working. And you can't really do any harm with it. I hear a lot of witches and warlocks. Look, this is not Hollywood. This is why I urge people to study the Gnostic texts, because it'll separate your mind from this Hollywood mentality, witches and warlocks. This is not Hollywood. This is about your condition. This is everything that's going on in the Matrix is showing you what you need to do and how to become a master of your abilities. So this place will give you everything you need, and also it's blinding you from everything you need also too. Because it's still up to the individual, because we all have different needs. And because our condition have different needs, it's different challenges down here. This is why this esoteric path is not for a group setting. It's really individualistic path. And I'm not saying that because we're selfish. I'm saying that because my smart had other thought forms growing up as children. I know I did. So you're in this information because as a child growing up, you always felt or thought a little bit different. So it was your thought form. It was your thinking. Well, I always thought I was different now growing up. Or my family treated me like differently growing up. Or whatever, right? That was because of your thoughts. It's like Bobby Hemmett says, knowledge is energy. Thoughts is energy. Thoughts are things, right? As a child, becoming an adult, and you can understand occult consciousness, especially the Christ-like level. That means, as a child, your thought process was always angelic or demonic. When it comes to Gnostic texts, the angels and devils, demons, goblins, gods, they're all the same when it comes to the cosmos. When it comes to the cosmos, all of those entities are all the same. They're just energies. They're only different when you're dealing with the human body, because now you're subjugated by your feelings and your emotions. This is why, as an individual that's in this information, you have to be able to understand this information on an esoteric level. Esoteric just simply means inner self, an inner understanding. That's what the story of the Christ is all about in the Bible. And every other religious story. It's an esoteric story side to that. It's not always the exoteric, E-exo. The exoteric is the objective, the illusion. That was the thought form that took over for the last 2,000 years. Because there are more humans on the planet, not just America, but there are more humans on the planet that suffers from not having an imagination. Okay? When you live in a world amongst people that don't have the ability to imagine things, they don't have the ability to view things in their head, they don't have the ability to have motion pictures inside their head. Like right now, as I'm speaking to you, I can have a motion picture in my head, picturing things. I can imagine myself flying around like Superman in my head right now. I can imagine myself eating an apple. I can imagine myself being in one place, 2, 3 places at one time. I can imagine myself being at home right now, playing video games. All at the same time, driving his truck, making the video, producing information, and producing an imagination at the same time. In the Gnostic text, it says that your imagination is pivotal to the understanding of Christ consciousness. Yet, we live in a world where people, humans, are suffering from aphantasia without any imaginative form. You can't picture anything. There's no ability, no nothing. There's no picturing, there's no motion picture, anything. There's no projection, nothing. By that being said, the demiurge, the matrix, is all about objectifying something outside of you. So, actually, they're not suffering. They're in the correct world where they don't have to imagine things. You get what I'm trying to tell you? This world works for them hand in hand. It's the same thing about being a left-handed person in a right-handed world. You have people here that have a vivid imagination. And if you pay close attention, these people that are not normal, these people that can't imagine anything, they're just all intellect. That's it. They're just strictly what you see is what you get, intellect. I can't see anything I can't conceptualize anything in my head other than what evidence I see now. So there's no discernment. There's no concept. They don't have a sense of repercussions of what may happen if I choose to do this or choose to do that. People with imaginations, they tend to have more discernment. They tend to be more cautious because they can foresee things. Just people with imaginations, they can overanalyze a person just by talking to them within 5 minutes. Just by hearing a person's voice, they can imagine who and what that person may look like and beyond. If that person's a serial killer or down to a athletic player or whatever. A person with an imagination have those type of abilities. This is the main course of action. This is the main issue that the archons that I speak about a lot. This is the main issue that the demiurge and the Gnostic text and Hermeticism, that's the main issue that they have with humans. Is humans with an imagination, their own mind, to be able to picture and visualize and conceptualize things or ideas or moments in their head. That's where the true magic is. These people are actually the ones that are the left-handed, and they are actually the ones that are suffering. They're suffering in a world that only runs off of intellect and logic. And do the wrong thing until someone tells me the right way. This is the world we're living in. This is why the Gnostic texts, they talk about how this material world is actually darkness. Because we have a large group of NPCs with no abilities to form any ideas within themselves. They can only innovate from something that is already created. In other words, the divine spark is absent in most of human population. The divine spark is the Christ energy. your creative visualization of imagination, your ability to visualize and conceptualize things and bring that forth. That's real magic. That's real, true. I said this in my previous videos. That's real black magic, is to be able to imagine your idea, visualize it in your head, make it a motion picture, and bring it to actuality. Bring it forth, reality. Those people are the true people who are spiritually and emotionally and physically oppressed. Because the imagination is bound by the human body. So even if a person might have the perfect idea, he or she might not have everything he or she needs to materialize that. That's true oppression. That's true slavery. Is to be able to have a universe within you and not have the tools and apparatus to materialize this new universe or this new Christ consciousness that's in one's head. That is true white and black magic. There is no evil. The only evil is the unknowing, the unimaginative. Because the unimaginative are the only people that are envious of the imaginative. The undesired cannot support the desired. You can only bring them down. There is no supporting. So the true oppressed people are the people with imaginations. Your imaginations is your divine Christ spark. That's why a form of slavery, physical slavery, is don't let them learn how to read. Because all they need is one slave with an imagination. And that's it. Who knows what that person can do if you give that person a handbook on how to become a carpenter? Who knows what that person can do with his or her imagination? That's real magic, is to be able to bring forth. And I'm not talking about just intellect or projection. That's the lower realm. That's the lower demiurge realm where I can bring out my thoughts as far as intellect. That's good too. But that's not the Christ narrative that's going to change the narrative of the known universe. If we continue to allow NPCs to run the narrative of the known universe, then nothing will change. Nothing will change. Because if a person who is not normal, if you have a group of people in the room who's not normal, then you have a small group of people within the room who is normal. Who do you think is going to be more oppressed? you can also develop your imagination. That's why in the Gnostic text they say Christ has to be developed. Christ consciousness, which is consciousness, it has to be developed. The Archons know this, so I'm not really worried about the war, even though that deals with your condition and the narrative, because you have a large group of people, mainly NPCs, who believe in one thing. That's power. That's magic right there. People still can't understand how this stuff works. You can get a building full of people and focus on one thing. Something will happen. Just think of what you can do if you get, or something, just think of what you think will happen if you get 100 people with a strong imagination in one room and we focus on one thing. Something is bound to happen. So in my last videos, like I say, I can challenge anybody. Anybody can come to my page. I've been dealing with this for a long time. There is no bad or evil black magic. Black magic is only digging into the darkness, digging into the unknown, digging into the occult, and bringing out the light of what your imagination can do with it. It's only symbols and symbology. You can get the book of Black Magic by Arthur E. Waite. It says it. If you study these symbols, if you study and understand some of these black magical systems, one should be blessed with fortunes, not bad stuff, hinder somebody. I haven't read one time in any of these books that black magic is used to hurt someone, hinder someone. Especially if my heart is in the right place. You will know your heart is in the right place when you start getting loads of information just from reading a book. Your heart will allow your mind to process things on a deeper esoteric level. There is no hurting or hindering or putting black magic on someone. Voodoo. Voodoo means love. That's a love, pink, romance system for prosperity, to be nice, to be elegant, to learn how to be a magically charming individual. That's voodoo. It teaches you how to be charismatic, feminine. That's voodoo. Voodoo has nothing to do with doing harm or evil unto someone. That person is getting nowhere. All right? The world is changing. The so-called superpowers are at war right now. So if you are a regular human being that has a taste and thirst for alternative occult knowledge, then this is for you. Tune in to my channel. Tune into my channel. I have loads of information. I got books I can point you in the right direction. Or just simply come to my page. We can talk about it. But this is all about your imagination and what you can do with it. Like I said, this is my first video that I posted in 2026, or if you want to call it that. If you want to call it that. Who knows what year it is? For all you know, it could be year 1269. Who knows? So I just wanted to just come back with a video because I know I haven't posted in a while. I'm still here. I'm still, learning. I'm still watching everybody. Like I said, I just wanted to lay low for a while because even talking about this information, pondering it, and just meditating on this information, that takes energy. So sometimes I like to just take a break and just chill out. And like I said, this is my first video I posted this year so far. So on this platform, I was given the name. I didn't come up with this name myself. I was given this name because, like I said, we all have voices in our head, okay? Especially if you're in this information and you get this, you have voices in your head. You have a very vivid imagination. My imagination is like a motion picture. And then on top of that, I have voices that I can hear loud and clear, okay? So I had to really master this monkey mind situation. All right? I've been doing this for a long time. This is why a lot of us who is in this information, a lot of us, we don't like small talk. Because we already have a lot of chatter and a lot of motion pictures going on in our heads already. So small talk in the material world, it really annoys us. But today, March 13th, 2026, and I know I don't say my name too much, but I am Erebus Zeptepi. I am Erebus Zeptepi. That is my name. That is who I am. That is who I am. That is who I am. And I'm here, I come in peace. And I am just sharing with like minds my human experience in this human body. And I'm sharing just things on my everyday spiritual path, even down to driving this truck to provide for myself and other human necessities for me and other people that are in my life. But on here, this information is coming from Erebus Zeptepi. All right, I'm out.